Hey everyone, this is Dr. Cooper, and this is a quick podcast to talk about your opposing views, paper 4. Opposing views and counter arguments. Many of you are just not getting it, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that many of you did not participate in the discussion where you were supposed to practice your opposing views and counter arguments. So I want to quickly talk about this because if you want to do a rewrite, you're all eligible if you turned your paper in on time to submit a rewrite by Tuesday. So that only gives you one day, but the final paper is due on Wednesday. This will help your score out. Keep in mind that the final paper is worth 20% of your overall grade, so you don't want to put in a bad part for that final paper. So you want to work on these opposing views, counter arguments. Okay, so depending on if you are writing a proposal paper or a position paper, you're going to do something similar. If you are writing a proposal paper, then it is okay for you to provide a summary of the opposing viewpoints. But that is a no-no in a position paper. You want to present them one at a time in a position paper. But the key to present an opposing view is to name the objector. Because if you don't name the objector, the person opposing, the person who believes what it is you are presenting, then it sounds like you're you're contradicting yourself and you're changing sides to your argument. Remember, the opposing view is the opposite of your view. So if you start presenting opposing views and it sounds like your voice, then it's not a good opposing view. So I'm going to use a student paper here to give you an example. We're going to look at Renee's paper. And keep in mind, Renee is not using APA. She's using MLA. She should be using APA for this paper, though. So that part's not correct. But what she does do well is right here. She says, many people believe. What she is doing here is naming the opposition. So when she says that many people believe that the passage of the Affordable Care Act will result in reduced monthly payments and additional benefits for Medicare recipients, this is not her view. This is many people's view, but not hers. Notice how she's not saying, I believe that the passage, or if she just stated, the passage of the Affordable Care Act will result in reduced monthly payments. That sounds like it's her view. So to avoid that, she does a really good job of saying, many people believe. So that is what we call naming the opposition. They don't have to have a proper noun, okay? It's just naming the opposition. So that's what that is. Now, the next thing is she has to present the opposing view, the view that the other side believes. Well, she's saying that they believe that the passage of the Affordable Care Act will result in reduced monthly payments and additional benefits. Okay? All right, well, now she has to explain that. So what does that mean? Reduced monthly payments and additional benefits. So what she does, she brings in a source and she explains the opposing view. Okay? So this is explanation of the opposing view. You can't just leave it there, and you can't just leave it without giving it some support. So use your sources to support. Okay, so ironically enough, she has gone back to APA instead of MLA. All right. Now, as a result of reducing these costs, the savings should support the new Affordable Care Act. She's continuing to support that opposing view. Now, you have to counter-argue. So there are two ways to counter-argue. You can refute or accommodate. If you refute, you're going to say, no, that's not true. But if you accommodate, you will say, this view seems reasonable on the surface. So you're saying, yes, this could be true, but. Okay? So you have to accommodate with a but. So that's what this looks like. You say accommodate. Yes, this is true, but. And then you give your counter argument. So she says, yes, this is true, or it seems reasonable on the surface, but it fails to follow the situation all the way to the end. So she's going to let them have the fact that this is true, that it could lower the cost, but it doesn't follow the situation all through the end. Now she has to explain it. So she explains it, and she once again uses her support. So here we have explanation of the counter argument with support from your sources. Okay, so this is an excellent example of how to write an opposing view. Name the opposition, present the opposing view, support the opposing view, and then counter argue it by either accommodating or refuting. And she is accommodating here. Now remember, if she was refuting, she would say, no, this is not true. It's not going to cost more money, or it's not going to cost less money. Okay. Then she starts with her second one. It has also been argued over the last 3 years that the passage of the Affordable Care Act will cause insurance premiums to decrease for most individuals. Okay. So again, it's not necessarily her argument. It would be better if she stated whose argument this is. But she follows with President Obama stated a few months ago that, so maybe it's a President Obama's view of that that the premiums will decrease. But as she comes down, she has to refute or accommodate again. So if you have not received a good score on your opposing views paper, you'll want to rewrite that and resubmit it right back in paper 4 by Tuesday night. And that'll give you time to integrate these new changes into the final paper that's due on Wednesday. Okay, so keep that in mind that your final papers are due by Wednesday. And if you have any questions, just let me know.